Hey, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day, a blessed day, and getting 1% better than yesterday and breaking free from whatever is holding you back from doing what you want to do when you want to do it within reason and setting up a life that you don't need to escape from. I'm working hard on both of those things and enjoying the process and trying to be as happy as I can every day. It's a gloomy, rainy day outside today. Doesn't matter. I'm still loving it. My garbage can floated down the street. That was a shocker today. I looked out. I thought I had 2 cans out there for brush this morning. I drive down to the corner. And there she is. I had to pull over, sop through massive puddles, and stick it in the trunk. It's kind of embarrassing, but she's back home. I want to talk about Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, Chapter 8. This book was very fundamental in me getting off or just starting my journey of debt-free. I am now completely debt-free. Take what you want from this chapter. I kind of didn't do everything by this book, but I'll kind of tell you how I did it. He starts off by saying, finish the emergency fund, kick Murphy out. When you reach this step, you have $1,000 cash and no debt except for your home mortgage. Okay. You're beginning to see the full power of being in control of your largest wealth building tool, your income. And we're all about what we can control on this channel, not about what we can't. And it's great to have the control of your income back at this stage. A fully funded emergency fund covers 3 to 6 months of expenses. And this is something where we're actually still somehow kind of working on, because I think we went more of paying off the mortgage, which is probably the next step in this book, than fully funding our emergency fund to 3 to 6 months in our savings account. He says an emergency fund will usually range from $5,000 to $25,000. A typical family that can make it on $3,000 a month might have $10,000 in their emergency fund. When the big stuff happens, he says, like a job layoff, which is possible for me, a blown car engine, we've had some car issues, and you can't depend on credit cards. A well-designed Total Money Makeover will walk you out of debt forever. A strong foundation in your financial house includes the big savings account, which will be used for just emergencies. And yes, that is true. So let's see here. If there is a recession and you lose your job and you have no income, you don't want to have a bunch of debt. A country financial security index survey found that 49% of Americans could cover less than 1 month's expenses if they lost their income. Half of this culture has virtually no buffer between themselves and life. Here comes Murphy. Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. Remember how we discussed that problems seem to be, and actually are, less frequent when you have your fully funded emergency fund? Don't forget that an emergency fund actually acts as a Murphy repellent. Emergencies include paying the deductible on medical, homeowner or car insurance, accident, a blown transmission or engine in a car that you need to function. All of these are emergencies. Not I want to start a business, not I need a new couch, not I know I want to go to Cancun. He says him and his wife would never use the emergency fund without first discussing it together and being in agreement. We would also never use the emergency fund without sleeping on the decision and praying about it. Our agreement, our prayer, and our cooling off period all help us to determine if this decision is rational, a reaction, or a real emergency. He says the emergency fund needs to be easy to access. He goes on to say, keep your emergency fund in something that is liquid. Liquid is a money term that means it's easy to get to with no penalties. If you would hesitate to use the fund because of penalties you'll incur to get it, you have it in the wrong place. I use growth stock mutual funds for long-term investing, but I would never put my emergency fund in there. Keep your emergency fund liquid, because you certainly don't want to pull it out when the market is down. As I kind of mentioned briefly before, we invest a ton of money. I'd like to keep our money working for us, not necessarily in a savings account. But he goes to say, understand you don't want to invest the emergency fund. You just want to have it someplace safe, easy to get to, liquid. He suggests a money market account with no penalties and full check writing privileges for your emergency fund. This is not a wealth building tool. This account is more like insurance against rainy days. He goes, again, this emergency fund is not for wealth building. It will give you peace of mind and keep the next problem from bringing you back into debt. We have a checking account which we pay for our monthly expenses. We have a savings account which we pay for emergencies, and it's also someplace where we put all our extra money that we have during the month, and that's something that we use to pay for car troubles, in which we've had too much lately, a new roof, future car payments to ourselves. That's where we're pulling our emergency fund from. That account is probably 2.5, being generous on our out of the 3 to 6 month fund. So he goes, how big should it be? He goes, we said it should be big enough to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. So 3 to 6 months, it's not 3 or 6, it can be either. For example, if you earn straight commission or self-employed, you'd want the 6 months. If you're a one-income household, you'd want the 6 months. If your job situation is unstable, you'd want the 6 months. I think we're in a bit more of a stable position. Now, if it was just me solo, I would have to be 6 months, but my wife is a working tenured teacher. If something were to happen to my job, I would have gig economy, Instacart, and all that to fall back on, and B, my wife's income at the moment. So I would not be totally out of work if my restaurant closed down, and we do have a 2-income family, and we're actually trying to live on only 1 income. So I think a 3-month fund might be good for us, but personal finance is personal, and it's different for everyone. Customize your emergency fund, he says, to your situation. Something here says, use all available cash. You cleaned out even the emergency fund down to baby step 1 for the first $1,000. And he says, you used all your money to pay down your debt. In that case, he says he doesn't suggest doing that if everyone isn't having a total money makeover. He goes, I don't want you to clean out your savings if you're planning to be in baby step 2, starting the debt snowball for 5 years. However, few of you will be on baby step 2 for long if you go gazelle intense and follow this plan to the letter. If your family is exposed to the elements with only $1,000 standing between you and life for 18 to 20 months, that's fine. In that case, use your savings to become debt-free to accelerate the snowball. That's pretty much what we did. We didn't do it exactly, but we pretty much put every single thing we could into becoming debt-free. And we did use a lot of investments, and we did use a lot of saving security. And we were able to accomplish it in about 18 to 20 months. And then the task of building up our savings and building up the brokerage, which we did take some money from to pay off the debt or to pay off the mortgage completely. And there's some fear in that. And he says, step 3, use that fear as motivation to stay focused and to keep everyone moving. He goes, Dave Rant, the reason you're afraid of investing is because you do not know what you're getting into. Learn about investments. That's true. I used to think a waiter couldn't invest, but I realized that there were safe and smart places to put your money, like the total market, and that's mostly what we do. Talks about gender differences here. Because believe me, guys, one of the best investments you'll ever make is an emergency fund. He talks about a happy wife, happy life. Being the highly trained investment mogul that I am, I could certainly find places to put that money where it would earn more. Or would it? Remember, a personal finance is personal. I have come to realize that Sharon's peace of mind bought with the oversized emergency fund is a great return on investment. And that is really true. Yes, I could still have all that money working in the brokerage, and the market has been down, but the peace of mind that you get from having no debt besides your house, and then having no debt including your house, while you try to build up your emergency fund is extraordinary. I've said it before. I remember the day after I paid off my mortgage, and I'm just like, is it supposed to feel different? What next? But as the days and weeks and months rolled by and we were able to save a lot of money and not have to worry about certain things, it's just, it's the best feeling in the world. He goes, an emergency fund can turn crises into inconveniences. And that's something that we have certainly felt in our household. We've had some big car hits lately, tires, not transmission, but a motor issue, just 2 or 3, just pretty big hits. And they're inconveniences because we won't be able to put as much towards the savings, but we're not going into debt and we can easily pay for it with or without the emergency fund. He goes, the point is that you get in better shape and it takes a lot more to rock your world. What used to be a huge life-altering event will become a mere inconvenience. He talked about one time how they had a repair cost of $580 and it was a huge, hairy deal. And recently he had a new $570 water heater installed because the old one started leaking and he hardly noticed. He says, if you don't own your home, he goes, I love real estate, but do not buy a home until you finish this step. So what he's saying is, do not purchase a home until you are completely debt-free and have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. A home is a blessing, but if you move into home ownership with debt and no emergency fund, Murphy will set up residence in the spare bedroom. I believe in the financial and emotional advantages of home ownership, but I have known too many stressed out young couples who rushed to buy something before they were ready. Saving for a down payment or cash purchase of a home should only occur after becoming debt-free in step 2 and after finishing the fully funded emergency fund in step 3. That was something we did not know about at the time, and we were still fully in debt. I didn't even really know we had debt when we first bought our home. So if you're just hearing this for the first time and you're before buying a home, you're lucky. We managed to get out of it though. He goes, the next stop is serious wealth building. He says, you've made it. You're now debt-free except for the home mortgage, and you have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Getting to the end of this step, if you are gazelle intense, takes the typical family about 24 to 30 months. Pretty much what it did for us. Because once we have covered these basic steps and laid a foundation, the time has come to build wealth. Remember, that's why we started a Total Money Makeover. We wanted not to just be out of debt, but to become wealthy enough to give, retire with dignity, leave an inheritance, and have some expensive fun. Stay tuned for some big fun. And has that happened for... Okay, that was my alarm going off, so I did not forget to get the girls. But this is just wrapping up right now. Yes, we got out of debt. We were wealthy enough to give. We're hoping to retire with dignity. We put a lot of money away for retirement. Hopefully there'll be something to leave our kids one day. And we have had some expensive fun. We've, water parks and, 2-3 day getaways here and there, concerts, ice cream and coffees, some expensive fun for sure. But I'm looking forward to chapter 9, which will talk about maximizing retirement investing. Be financially healthy for life. And that is going to be the next chapter of this book, review, reaction, and summary. I hope you guys are getting benefit from it, and I look forward to talking to you on the next video.